Hey guys, Stay Calm Cursory here, and today's video is going to be different than any of the other videos I've done. So, a few times I've read creepypasta, and, online short stories, scary stories, urban legends, rumors. Well, I've had a couple people say, hey, you should narrate a book one time. And, well, I've got this short kind of kids horror story book that I've had since I was pretty young. And it's Halloween, sort of, so I thought, hey, you know what, maybe I should try this. And you probably have already read it in the title, but the name of the book it's a Fear Street book by RL Stine. This one's called Trapped. And I remember I was at a library as, I don't know how old I was in elementary school, I remember. And at some libraries they have that little shelf where either due to damage or, I guess, space issues or I don't know, maybe they just fall out of favor, but they put books on there where it's basically take one if you want it. And I guess they're just trying to get rid of them so you can go and take a book if you want. And I found this there. And I thought, ooh, looks spooky. And yeah, got it. And I guess it's a kid's horror book. I mean, the font is really big. The chapters are pretty short. The book itself is pretty short. And it is by R.L. Stine, but Jesus Christ, I was not prepared for the brutality of this book. If it is a kid's horror book, they do not pull any punches here. People die, and they aren't off-screen Nerf deaths either. It's pretty fucking awful. And I remember actually, after I'd finished it, it stayed with me. I was spooked for a long time after it. And even when I reread it a couple times through the years, I was still spooked. It's held up incredibly nicely. And as a kid, especially, reading a book that didn't patronize or try to soften or make it, because, you read some kid horror books or you see some kid horror movies or TV shows and they straight up nerf that. I mean, it may as well be Care Bears. The kid never gets hurt. It teases like, oh no, something bad could happen if it gets you, but of course it doesn't. And if it ever does, it's left ambiguous, or if anything unfortunate happens, it's shown in a really cartoony way, or it's shown off screen. Yeah, and again, not this book. Another thing is, this book was published in 1997, but it doesn't feel dated at all to me. I mean, it's held up really nice over the years. And I think the last time I read it, I actually brought it into high school for standardized testing, back when you were actually allowed to bring books in on those days. Yeah. And it's still spooky, and I love it, but the problem is, I have never met another person that has read this book or knows what it is. So I thought, I kind of want to read something, and I've got this really nice book that I'd like to show people. Maybe you guys will enjoy it. So maybe if you have to, I don't know, clean something or you're doing something repetitive, maybe this will be a good playthrough for you. Or hey, if you're trying to go to sleep, this will probably be pretty good too. Okay, well, enough preamble. Let's get... You know what? I will read the front cover, the back cover, and then that little blurb on the front page where it gives you, I guess, a paragraph that's supposed to kind of get you into the story. I don't know what that's called. Anyone know what that is? Okay. Fear Street, R.L. Stine. Trapped. You're invited to die. And on the back, danger, keep out. There's an old story about the tunnels under Shadyside High. Some kids used to party down there, back in the 60s, until something horrible happened. Something that left a bunch of people dead. It's just a story, right? There's nothing to be afraid of. Besides, exploring the tunnels is a lot more fun than being stuck in Saturday detention. And it's not as if anything could be down there. But something is. Something dark and evil and not human. Too bad there's no turning back, and no one is around to hear your screams. Oh, and they also have a little sticker, too. I guess the last time this book was checked out was January 20th, 2004, so that's probably around the time that I found this book. And it is a little worse for wear. Not from me, by the way. I take real good care of my books and my discs and anything. This must have happened, I don't know, I guess at the library. It's quite worn. The cover is coming off a little bit. Have to be careful with that. And it's got some water damage. But man, I love the feeling of a paperback, in your hands. Oh shit, about to get some ASMR up in here. Nah, just kidding. I could never do that. I'd crack up in a second. Let's see. Yeah, I probably could have found a PDF of this, or maybe they have it on Kindle. But I don't know. I really like having a physical book in my hand and, reading it and carrying it around and sticking bookmarks in it. Nothing compares. And, ebooks and PDF books are really useful, but nothing compares to just a physical book. Really nice. Oh, and if you like this book, please support the author by, getting a copy of your own. I got mine for free from a library, but if you're a fan, maybe I think RL Stine would still be getting money from these books. I mean, this book was published 20 years ago. It probably doesn't sell very much anymore, if it's even still in print. But if you're listening to this and you do like the book, it's always good to, support the original author. Oh, almost forgot to read the inside preamble. Okay. Welcome to the Labyrinth. So, no one's been down here for years? Elaine asked. Her gaze traveled over the graffiti-covered walls. She couldn't help being fascinated. Forget the hallway upstairs, this really was a place that no one at school had ever seen. They closed the tunnels off a long time ago, Max explained. All the tunnel entrances were blocked up. Why? Elaine asked. Something happened, Beau replied. Something bad. Elaine shivered. She watched their shadows flutter along the walls, as if all the kids who partied here were still hanging out, dancing. What happened? She asked. I don't know exactly, Beau replied, but kids died. A lot of kids died. Oh, before I start, I'm glad I remembered, usually when I read creepypastas, they're very short, and I make them short for a reason. And it's not because, it might take longer to read them, it's because it takes longer to edit them. I'm sure everybody knows how hard it is to read out loud. No matter how much practice you've had, there's always that one sentence that you flub, or maybe you said it with the wrong inflection. And when I do that in creepypasta, I usually just repeat the sentence or repeat the paragraph, and then in editing, I have to go in and edit that part where I messed up out. And, it's not too much work, but the longer the creepypasta, or the longer the story, the more editing you have to do, and the longer you'll be sitting there and editing. So, because this is a book, and it's about 150 pages, if I make any mistakes or flub anything, I'm just going to reread the sentence or the paragraph and move on. It's going to be kind of more of a live reading. And the reason is, if I were to sit here and edit every time I messed up during a 150-page book, I'd probably never be able to continue releasing videos, It would be too much work, take too long. So I'm going to try really hard not to mess up and read it right, with the right amount of emotion, with the right amount of inflection in each character's voice. But if I mess up, I'm sorry. Hopefully it won't be too bad. Okay, let's get started. Trapped, Chapter 1. I can't believe I'm here, Elaine Butler muttered to herself. She steered her Civic around the deep puddle that always formed at the entrance to the Shadyside High parking lot. The windshield wipers whisked back and forth. Elaine shivered in her coat and sweatshirt. The heater hardly helped at all. I can't believe it, she thought. I'm really here on a Saturday. She tried to convince herself that it was like any other day of school, but it wasn't. It was detention. I must be some kind of moron, she told herself, another chill running up her spine. She put the car in park and shut the engine. She couldn't bring herself to get out. A strong wind slapped rain against the windows. She gazed through the mist at Shadyside High. The old building stood gray, cold, and lifeless. The windows were dark. Only 2 other cars were parked in the lot. How did I get myself into this? Elaine asked herself. She remembered the moment clearly, a moment of total panic when she realized she forgot her trig homework. She had left it on her desk at home, finished down to the last formula, folded neatly, ready to go, but she forgot to put it in her math book. Her teacher, Mr. Forrest, wasn't sympathetic. That's 3 missed assignments, Elaine, he said, stroking his mustache. He scanned his grade book in front of the whole class. Yes, 1, 2, and 3. He smiled. He's enjoying this, Elaine thought. In this class, Elaine, 3 is a charm. Please collect your books and go to the principal's office. Her classmates were silent the whole time, but Elaine could feel their eyes burning into her. Elaine could feel their eyes burning into her back as she left the room. They were probably thankful it wasn't them. Everyone knew that if you missed 3 homeworks in Mr. Forrest's trig class, you got detention. No second chances. I did the homework, Elaine pleaded, but I forgot it. That's a shame, Mr. Forrest replied, his expression unmoved. Elaine knew what she was in for. She had heard the rumors. The new principal, Mr. Savage, was changing things. The old detention was the first to go. No more 2 hours after school. That was too easy. It didn't solve anything. But if students had to sacrifice a whole day for their crimes, Mr. Savage's Saturday detention was born. And I'm the guinea pig, Elaine grumbled out loud, staring out her car window. She sighed. She couldn't sit there forever. She grabbed her backpack and got ready to run. Look at the bright side, she told herself. At least I'm not wasting a nice day. She slammed the car door and ran. It was a short distance, but the droplets still rolled down her neck like tiny ice cubes. The front door to the school burst open before she touched it. Elaine stopped so hard her feet skidded on the wet marble of the walkway. She caught a glimpse of a pale hand gripping the crash bar from the inside. The door opened wider. She gazed up into the face of Mr. Savage. His eyes were large and tired-looking, with dark bags under them. His cheeks were sunken. He always reminded Elaine of a sad hound dog. Mr. Savage opened the door wider. Come in, Elaine. Elaine didn't hesitate. She shook herself off, trying to stay on the big rubber mat inside the door. She figured Savage would give her a hard time if she got water all over the floor. The hallway was dark. The only light came from the front office down the hall. You're the last one, Savage announced, but he stared out the open door as if waiting for someone else. He wore a black suit and tie, even on a Saturday. Who died? Elaine wanted to ask. Savage let out a long sigh, took one last look at the rain, and let the door slam shut. Finally, his gaze fell on Elaine. Mr. Savage? She asked. He cocked an eyebrow. Yes? I'm kind of new at this, she replied. What do I do? He smiled coldly. You've never had detention before? No. You're a good student, Elaine, he stated. I thought it was strange for you to get detention, so I reviewed your file. Uh-oh, Elaine thought. Good grades, he continued, plus student council, track, and the newspaper. What did you do wrong? Elaine's cheeks grew hot. Missed 3 homeworks in Mr. Forrest's class, she muttered. Oh, right, Savage nodded. The homework you left at home. Yeah. Elaine could tell that he didn't believe her. Why would he? Kids lied to him every day, even good students. I don't suppose you'll be making a habit of this, he asked dryly. No. Good. It would be a shame to ruin such a fine school record with a bunch of detentions. He sighed again. Even I learned some hard lessons in my day. Truly hard. His voice trailed off. Elaine waited for him to say something else, but he just kept staring over her head. Elaine cleared her throat. The principal glared at her. The others are in room 111, he said. Please, go there. He turned and strode toward the front office. Immediately, she pictured herself slipping back out into the rain and heading to the mall. Yeah, spending the day there, calling up her friends, shopping, then telling her parents that detention wasn't all that bad. Not a chance. This stinks, she muttered. She strode down the gloomy corridor towards room 111. Her footsteps echoed in the empty hall. The sound reminded her that she was here all by herself. No friends, no one to talk to. Nothing but rain and homework for a whole Saturday. I'll never miss another trig assignment as long as I live, she vowed. She pulled her jacket tighter around herself and tried to fight off the chill that refused to leave her body. It was gonna be a long day. She had no idea how long or how dangerous. Alright, that's chapter 1. Hope you enjoyed it so far. I don't know if I said it before, but there's 30 chapters in all, and I guess I will be releasing each chapter probably around every day. I don't know, depending on my schedule. It's probably going to go on after Halloween, but, well, hopefully it'll be a fun thing. I'm having fun reading it. It's good practice. I'm kind of nervous doing it live, though, because I did mess up a few times. Hopefully that didn't ruin it for you guys. Well, thank you guys for listening, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.